Well, once again, it's our good fortunes to witness the British final being staged here at the superb setting in Thurrock, arguably the finest racing track in the country. A shot here of Exeter's Steve Paver, who unfortunately has only managed to get in as second reserve after a runoff this morning. Here's the oldest competitor in the field, Nick Skinner at 32. He doesn't look it though, does he? This is his debut final, in fact, as well. Congratulations to Nick. Shot here of Ian Gill. He lines up as first reserve after that same runoff with Steve Paver. And here's Norman Venson. Happy-go-lucky, as usual. In the background, we've got Andre Cross, last year's runner-up. Neil Mason just moving into the picture.
Also, we'd like to welcome
and Dave Blainstone there, moving into the action. Dave will be the pits marshal. From left to right, we've got Southampton's Ian Woodhouse, and then two of the favourites this afternoon. In the middle, last year's champion Martin Gale, and on the right, his full teammate Martin Hepworth. Well, the sole northern qualifier there, Martin Kent. I'm sure he'll have a lot of support here this afternoon. And there's the referee, Dave Hunting. There's a shot here of Norman Venson talking to previous champion Jimmy Varnish and his girlfriend or fiancée to the left of him. And there's the Martin Kent following up there. Another father and brother and sisters. As usual, Bill Gill and his track staff have taken lengthy efforts to ensure the circuit is in perfect racing order. Well, as I'm sure you're all aware by now, Bill suffered a tragedy a few months ago when his wife Pat died after a long illness. Pat was a loyal Cycle Speedway follower, standing alongside Bill at both matches and official times. And our heartfelt sympathy goes out to Bill today and always. In recent years, Thurrock have improved their facilities to include an enclosed all-seater stadium. And without further ado, I'll hand you over to Nigel Leahy, who's doing the announcing, and he'll present the riders to you.
None other than Danny Varney. Currently number 2 in the world, formerly a British indoor champion at senior and under 21 level. Danny has been a tourist with the British Lions last year and making his debut in a British final today. Lining up at number 2 then from Sandwell, Andy Harris. Andy Harris was the top qualifier from the semi-finals. He's an England international and British Lions tourist. He finished 3rd in the World Masters in 1987, one of the sport's quieter members off the track, but sure to attract plenty of attention this afternoon. Riding at number 3 from Norwich, and Andre Cross. Scorer of 33 points up until the final here in the weekend. Sponsored by A Cycles, he is currently the Norfolk champion, a former British title holder at under 21 level, and probably the finest young rider to come from Norfolk in recent years. Riding at number 4 from Sandwell, Mark Newey. Another rider to attract an individual sponsor, namely New Build Building Contractors, one of the younger brigade of competitors here today. Only the second time Mark has made it to the senior final. He was runner-up in last year's under 21 final. Riding at number 5 from Leicester, Neil Mason. Scorer of 32 points so far this weekend, Irish international and one of the leading riders of the Leicester club. Neil has surprisingly only made one other senior final. Neil was a British Lions tourist to Australia last winter, where he topped the score chart for the Ireland team. Riding at number 6 is Mark Griffiths from Whitley. Another from the strong Midland Challenge. He's never made a senior final before, despite making it to the semis on one other occasion. Today's experience, though, should stand him in good stead for his club's debut in the British Team Championship finals in a couple of weeks' time. Riding at number 7, from Poole, Martin Hepworth. Another high scorer, 36 points, made him the second highest scorer jointly. He's a former world and British champion in 1987, twice winner of the coveted Birmingham and Raw Championship, and at the age of 26, Martin assures me that he's only feeling 21. He lost his title to clubmate Martin Gale last year, and he'll be keen to regain it here today. Ian Woodhouse lines up at number 8 for Southampton. It's good to see Ian back in action after a 3-year layoff. He's made the final at the first attempt this year after not entering the competition for 10 years. He's previously finished 4th in the senior in 1977, and the same year was 2nd in the junior. Riding at number 9 from Sandwell is Craig Harcourt. At 20 years of age, Craig lines up as another of the younger competitors. He's currently the Midlands Under-21 champion, and his current good form is underlined by an individual sponsorship from Ace Cycles. Another rider making his final debut today. Riding at number 10 from Whitley, Norman Benson. As you can hear, Norman is a popular Midlands rider. He's come close to major titles so often. He's finished 2nd in the Indoor in 1987, 3rd in the Midlands Championship this year. Who knows, perhaps today he could finish top of the pile. Another rider who receives a sponsorship from Ace Cycles. Riding at number 11 from Leicester, Dave Hemsley. 19 years of age, Dave lines up as the youngest competitor in the field today. In 1987, he was the British Junior Champion and British Indoor Junior Champion. He's currently the British Senior and Under-21 Champion, and just a fortnight ago won the Manchester Grand Prix, sponsored by Ace Cycles. This is the first time in the British Senior Final. I beg your pardon, what I've actually meant to say was that, of course, Dave is sponsored himself by Ace Cycles. Riding at number 12 in the lineup this afternoon from Whitley, Dave Fripp. Scottish international is Dave and former British Junior Champion. He has excelled at the youth category of racing. He makes his senior final debut today, and he also was a tourist down under last winter. Riding at number 13 from Poole, Martin Gale, the reigning champion, defending his title here today after scraping into the first ever senior final last year after a runoff. He also collected the annual title for the second time earlier this year. He has won the British title in junior, youth and senior class, and he will be a hard man to stop today. Individually, he is sponsored by Archie Wilkinson. Riding at number 14 from Leicester, Mick Skinner. Well, Mick lines up as the oldest competitor in the field today. The age of 32. Quite many years in the stalwart of the Leicester club, both on and off the track. He's never actually made it to the British Senior final before, but it's good to see him in action here in this one in 89. Riding at number 15 from Heckman White, Martin Kent. Another rider making his final debut and carrying with him a sole Northern Challenge. He's an accomplished rider who lines up as British Under-21 champion and Yorkshire champion, a title which he picked up for the second time in succession this year. Well, the rider who lines up at number 16 in the field is Tim Snook from Ipswich. Formerly a British Junior Champion in 1982, Tim has since more often finished as a current runner-up, having finished in that position in the World Masters in 85, British Senior Final in 86, and the Australian Championship in 1987. Another British Lions tourist, and of course England international. The two reserves this afternoon coming out onto the track from Thurrock, Ian Gill, and from Exeter, Steve Paver. We saw them in action earlier on in the runoff to establish first and second reserve.
Well, the lineup for heat number 1. On the inside, Danny Zarni from Ipswich. Scorer of 33 points from his 2 qualifying rounds in the semis. On grid 2, it's Andy Harris In fact, he was top scorer of the 2 qualifying rounds, 37 points. Grid 3, Andre Cross from Norwich. He qualified on 33 points. And on the outside, probably a dark horse here this afternoon, Mark Newey. He qualified on 36 points. So the 2 Samwell riders on grids 2 and 4 are the ones to watch out for in this opening race.
Run to the starter's orders. A winning time of 41.8 seconds. Danny Zani is first across the line in the colours of Ipswich in Heat 1 of the Daily Mirror British Senior Final. Second man home was Mark Newey, just on the line ahead of Andy Harris. And in 4th place was Andre Cross, picking himself up after that tumble. 41.8 seconds was the winner's time then in Heat 1, as we go straight into Heat 2, with Neil Mason on grid number 1, Martin Hepworth on 2, Martin Griffiths on 3, and Ian Woodhouse on grid 4.
Well, Nigel's already indicated to us the riders in this heat, but let's have a look at their track record on reaching the final. Lining up on the inside, Neil Mason from Leicester. He qualified on 32 points. Next door to him, a hot favourite and a very fast skater. Neil Mason will have to watch out for him at the start. Martin Hepworth from Poole. He qualified on a very big total of 36 points. Next door to Martin Hepworth, we got Mark Griffiths making his debut in a senior final. Mark, he qualified on 35 points, and on the outside, Ian Woodhouse from Southampton had a good season all season. It's no surprise to see him here this afternoon. He lines up on grid 4 and he qualified with 34 points.
All riders ready? Run to the starter's orders. Lightning reflexes from Martin Hepworth in heat number 2 gives him the lead from the gate on a good 2 position, and the winning time of 41.3 seconds. In 2nd place was Mark Griffiths from Whitley, 3rd went to Neil Mason, and in 4th place was Ian Woodhouse from Southampton.
Well, as the riders come out for heat number 3, it definitely has that all Midland flavour about it, because they're all Midland riders. 2 from the Whitley Club, and they line up on grids 1 and 2. On 1, it's a few seasons ago runner-up in the championship, Norman Benson. He lines up on the inside grid. Norman qualified on 32.5 points. Next door to Norman, it's his club mate, Dave Frith. Dave Frith qualified on 34 points. Another Midland rider, this time across the way at Samwell. It's Craig Harcourt on grid number 3. He qualified with 35.5 points, so obviously those two, when they met, Norman Benson and Craig Harcourt in the semis, had that dead heat. And on the outside, probably another dark horse here this afternoon, dare I say, Dave Hemsley. He's been riding well for a few seasons now. Dave Hemsley rides for Leicester, and he qualified on a fairly high score of 35 points.
What about that, we Whitley fans? First and second across the line in heat number 3, with Norman Benson taking the checkered flag in a time of 42.3 seconds. His clubmate Dave Frith followed him home in second place. Craig Harcourt was third, and Dave Hemsley from Leicester was in fourth place.
Well, this is heat number 4, and this looks to be certainly a crunch race. There's the picture there of Martin Gale, the current British champion. Next door to him, he's got the Tigerish Mick Skinner. Grid 3, it's Martin Kent from Heckman White. And on the outside, Tim Snook, who's been in a number of finals now, finishing 5th, 8th. And in 1986, he was runner-up in that dreadful weather of Stockport, and finished behind Dennis Hubble, but in front of Jimmy Varnish. So this looks a very good racing prospect, and it's the first of Martin Gale's 2 insides. And as it happens, all 4 riders here qualified from the semi-finals, all having scored 33 points.
Riders ready? Under starter's orders. The referee stopped heat number 4 because the duration of the start was not between 3 and 7 seconds. The waiting for the text to go up. Ready? Under starter's orders. Well, despite a rubbing wheel, Martin Gale still manages to hang on to that winning ride in heat number 4 in the second fastest time so far this afternoon, 41.4 seconds. A strong challenge there from Tim Snook. Didn't allow him to get the lead. He was in second place, just on the line there, and Mick Skinner recovered from that tussle up there on the top bend, and he finished in third place. No fourth finisher. Martin Kent sheared a pedal arm crank here on the starting line. Unfortunate end to heat 4 for Martin Kent, and so he scores no points from his opening ride. Back they come then, each to take their second ride in this 1989 championship.
And on the inside grid, it's the second ride on the trot for Martin Gale, lining up on grid number 1. Of course, he won his opening ride only seconds ago. Next door to him, another first heat winner. On grid number 2 then, it's Danny Zani from Ipswich. Next door to Danny, we've got Neil Mason. He finished third in his opening ride. He lines up on grid 3, and on the outside we've got Samwell rider Craig Harcourt, who finished third in his opening ride as well. So all eyes set then for heat number 5 of the British Rhino.
Well, reigning champion Martin Gale picks up his second win of the afternoon, and a fine one it was, in 41.9 seconds. In second place on the line was Danny Zani, ahead of Neil Mason in third, and Craig Harcourt, who finished in fourth place.
Up on the inside, in fact, it's Leicester's Mick Skinner. Mick, who finished third in his opening ride, will be aiming to do better in this one. Winner of his first race on grid 2, it's Norman Venson. Next door to Norman, we've got another Midlands rider, Andy Harris from Samwell. And on the outside, it's Mark Griffiths, who finished an impressive second place in his opening race.
I think you'll agree, plenty of action in heat number 6 as Mick Skinner was first across the line in the Leicester colours, and his winning time of 42.6 seconds. Second place went to Norman Benson from Whitley, and after that mix up there on the top corner, Andy Harris was the first man to remount, taking third place, with Mark Griffith pulling it home for 1 point and a fourth place in Heat 6. Well, I'm informed reliably that between the races that you saw earlier on, Martin Kent sheared off his crank, and during the time that it's taken for those next couple of races, he's completely changed the bottom bracket, and there he was out on the track just giving it a try to make sure that it's not going to do the same again.
Well, the whistle goes to indicate the riders should come up to the line now for this heat number 7. Running up on the inside, it's Dave Hemsley from Leicester. And Dave had an unfortunate opening race when he could have been through and scored at least a second place, I felt, if not a first place. So he'll be looking for some points in this race. Next door to him, another unfortunate starter of the meeting. It's Martin Kent, who of course sheared off that bottom bracket spindle in his opening race and scored no points whatsoever. It's Martin Hepworth on grid 3, the very fast starting Martin Hepworth. He had a win in his opening race, and he'll be looking to add a few more points, if not a win in this race. And on the outside, it's last year's runner-up, and again, really a failure in his opening race, Andre Cross, who picked himself up off the deck and just scored just 1 point, so he'll be looking for a few more points as well.
Run for starter's orders. Fans, that's a win for Dave Hemsley in the fastest time so far this afternoon, 41.2 seconds. In second place was Martin Hepworth from Poole, third went to Martin Kent from Heckman-Wyke, and fourth place, picking himself up from a tumble, was Andre Cross. On grid 2, next to him is Mark Newey from Sandwell on grid 3, and from Whitley on grid 4 is Dave Frith.
And after this race, everybody will have ridden 2 races, and so we'll be able to get a picture, or a clearer picture, as to who the meeting leaders are. Let's have a look who is out in this race, Heat 8. On the inside, it's Tim Snook, who scored a very good tally of 3 points in his opening race from his outside grid. So he's got the first of his 2 grid 1s on the trot here to come. Some points here would be very, very useful indeed. On grid 2, it's Southampton's Ian Woodhouse. Unfortunately, he finished last in his opening race. Next door to Ian, we've got Mark Newey. And Mark had a very good second place from grid 4 in his opening race. So if he can get a few more points out of this one, he'll be looking to be at least in the frame at the finish. And on the outside, who have we got? It's Dave Frith from Whitley. And Dave, he finished second in his opening ride too. So a few points from him here will also put him in the fray.
As the dust settles on heat number 8, Tim Snook takes a win in the first of his 2 Grid 1 positions and takes his total to 7 points, a very handsome tally after 2 races. In second place was Mark Newey from Sandwell, taking his total to 6 points. Third was Dave Frith from Whitley, puts him on a total of 5. And Ian Woodhouse takes a 1 point from heat number 8 and gives him a total so far of 2 points. Won both of his 2 inside grids, and that has put him on the maximum score so far. He's got a grid 4 to come next, and that may well prove to be a stumbling block for Martin. On 7 points, 4 riders right behind Martin. Just 1 point behind on 7 is Danny Zarni, Norman Benson, Martin Hepworth and Tim Snook, each having dropped just 1 point. And behind them, of course, on 6 points, we've got Mick Skinner and Mark Newey.
Of course, it's early days yet. Martingale out in front on the 8 points. 4 riders chasing him hard on 7. And 2 riders on 6 points. They're the main contenders certainly at the moment. And they'll be looking for a place on the rostrum. And of course, one of them, of course, will be the champion. Let's have a look what we got here in heat number 9. And lining up on the inside grid, once again, it's Tim Snook. Of course, this is Tim's second ride on the trot. And he's up on that inside grid. Favourable grid position. And another win here would bring his tally to a very impressive 11 points, and certainly will be amongst the leaders, if not the leader. Next door to Tim Snook, lining up on grid 2, will be Mark Griffiths. And Mark has scored 4 points, and it looks as though he could have scored a few more actually. In his second round, when he was chasing up out on that back straight, looked like he slipped his pedal when he would have actually gone through and won that one. So unfortunate there for Mark Griffiths. On grid 3, we've got Dave Hemsley. Dave has had a last and a first. A bit inconsistent so far for Dave, and he'll be looking to add a few more points, as will the rider on grid 4. And in fact, Danny Zarni will be looking to score as many points as possible. He's already scored 7, dropping just 1 point on his grids 1 and 2. Let's see what he can do on his grid 4. Tim Snook takes 2 wins in succession from heats 8 and 9, and that certainly bolsters his total up and gives him a total so far 11 points, just 1 short of the maximum tally after 3 races. In second place in heat number 9 was Mark Griffiths from Whitley, putting in a sterling ride. In third place was Danny Zarni, working his way from the back for third place, and with Dave Hemsley coming in 4th place in heat number 9. Well, for a bank holiday Monday, the weather has really been kind to us, and most people are enjoying a very warm, sunny afternoon. Not too much wind, very pleasant indeed, and ideal for racing conditions. Let's have a look who lines up then in heat number 10. You can see Andy Harris moving towards us with his bike on his shoulder. Lining up on the inside, it's Dave Frith, there he is. Next door to him, on grid number 2, it's Neil Mason from Leicester. Grid 3, Andy Harris. He moves into shot now. There is Andy Harris. And on the outside, it's Martin Kent from Hecklemike. And in fact, all these riders are quite considerably down on points behind the race leaders. In fact, some of these riders are as many as 6 points already behind the leading pack. so they've really got it all to do. Well, having said that, actually, some of those riders have actually had 3 rides. Leading scorer at the tapes there, anyway, is Dave Frith. He scored 5 from his opening 2 rides, so a win here would give him a very handsome 9 points anyway.
Stopped the race in heat number 10 and clearly not satisfied with the progress of the riders. He has made an exclusion due to the stoppage, and that is to Martin Kent for putting his leg across his opponent's wheel, causing the positions in the race to change. The race will of course be restarted with 3 riders only. A really super race in heat number 10 with Dave Frith just holding off the strong challenge there from Neil Mason on the line to take the checkered flag in heat number 10. His winning time was 42.5 seconds. In second place then was Neil Mason, the third went to Andy Harris, and of course no fourth finisher with Martin Kent, excluded by the referee for...
Lining up in heat 11 on the inside grid, we've got Craig Harcourt, score of 3 points from his opening 2 races. On grid number 2, it's Andre Cross. Unfortunately, he's had 2 lasts so far, so he'll definitely be looking to score at least, well, as many points as possible anyway. And on grid 3, it's Ian Woodhouse from Southampton, and again, he's finished only with 2 lasts in his first 2 rides. And on the outside, it's the plucky Mick Skinner, who scored 6 points from his opening 2 races and looking very good indeed.
Well, clearly an unsatisfactory start in heat number 11. Andre Cross bites the dust in no uncertain terms there, and the referee calls for a restart.
Andre Cross certainly looks down on power when you compare him to his final last year at Leicester, when he very nearly became British champion. He was just stopped, in fact, by that man Martin Gale. So here the rerun of heat number 11.
Heat number 11 for the second time of asking at this restart. Run to start his orders. Run, Greg! Run, Greg! spectacular crash there as Ian Woodhouse and Andre Cross collide. Ian Woodhouse really took a furler there. It looks as though he's nothing but shaken. In view of the fact that the referee considered that the races or the accident involved 3 riders, none of which he deemed to be guilty of that particular incident, he would ask that all 4 riders come back to the line for a restart.
Expensive to go racing. Too spread out. Because we're mostly doing shifts. Shifts on 12 o'clock Sundays. This means they can't ride away. Not that this is more. If it's more than half hour down the road, it's thrown around.
From the referee in order to just make sure that any final adjustments were okay through the machine. Everything seems to be okay. Ian's back out onto the track to occupy his Group 3 position. We're ready for the restart of heat number 11.
They don't travel around the country race. So, you know, sport doesn't more expensive. You're a professional, it does. You know,
Time again, Craig.
Starters orders. Well, ladies and gentlemen, deserved applause for all of those riders in heat number 11. Poor old Craig Harcourt was out there nearly half a lap ahead of everybody else, not knowing quite what was going on behind him, but I'm sure he heard all about it, because, well, Mick Skinner just hold on to that second place on the line there, ahead of the third man home, Andre Cross, and in 4th place was Ian Woodhouse. I think you could have thrown a blanket over all of those 3 riders as they crossed the line. And indeed, just a wheel ahead of one another. As they crossed the line, Craig Harcourt's winning time was 43.2 seconds.
Well, is that natural blonde hair, or is it dyed or highlighted?
Well, heat 12 certainly looks to provide...
I can tell you those 2 ladies are ardent Bristol St George followers. One of them being my girlfriend Sarah, so I do hope she's making a good job of completing my programme. Anyway, this is the race that most of us have been waiting for. It brings together the clash of the 2 pool riders, both pre-meeting hot favourites and indeed proving all their worth, because they're up there with the leading point scorers. In fact, Martin Gale on the outside is the leading point scorer, or is the only unbeaten rider, should I say. So far he lines up on the outside, but it's Martin Hepworth, his club mate, on the inside. Martin Hepworth lines up on 1. Next door to him it's Mark Newey from Samwell, Norman Venson, meanwhile, is flung in there as well, just for good measure, on grid 3 from Whitley, and all these riders have amassed quite a few points in their opening races, so this should prove to be possibly the most interesting race of the afternoon.
Riders ready? You're under the starter's orders.
First two outings. Norman Benson has just dropped 1 point from his first two. Likewise, Martin Hepworth. And up they come again for the restart. Heat number 12. Once again, best of order, ladies and gentlemen.
You've got 31, allow somebody in half and you're in. I just went round.
Riders ready? Run the starter's orders.
By heat number 12, Martin Hepworth, he takes the checkered flag, and that means that he's just dropped 1 point on the way to an 11-point tally from his first 3 races. In second place was Martin Gale, that equals his score of 11 points. Third was Mark Newey from Sandwell, taking his total to 8 points. And in fourth place was Norman Benson, and that also puts him on 8 points from his first 3 races. Well, during the time that it takes for Martin Hepworth to get his breath back and come out for the second of his successive Grid 1s, we take a quick look again down the leaders. After 12 races, each of them have had 3 races each. Tim Snook, Martin Hepworth, Martin Gale, all on an equal score of 11 points, having dropped just 1 point from their first 3 races, and those are the 3 to beat. A gap has opened up with the leaders though, because the nearest to them is Danny Zani, Dave Frith and Mick Skinner, who both, or all 3 of them rather, have 9 points apiece, so they're 2 points away from the leaders.
Heat 13 brings 3 of those riders mentioned by Nigel as being the leading group of riders. Here's one of them, Danny Zani, he scored 9 points. Dave Frith behind him, meanwhile, has also scored 9 points. And actually, as I say, that means all 4 riders here have been mentioned as the leading contenders. So Martin Hepworth lines up for his second of 2 insides now on Grid 1, and another win here would certainly bolster his points to a very impressive tally, and he'll be the man to beat then. If he wins this one, he'll be on 15 points. Next door to him, Mick Skinner, one of the 3 riders next door to Martin Hepworth now, who have scored 9 points. Mick has certainly had a fantastic debut, I must say, at the age of 32. Looked very sharp and determined. Grid 3, Danny Zani then from Ipswich, and on the outside it's Whitley's Dave Frith. So what's in store here then? Is it going to be a surprise or is it going to be a win for that man Martin Hepworth on the inside grid?
Riders ready? You're under the starter's orders.
I'll wait for the referee to sort that one out. Almighty pile of bikes and bodies over there on the back straight, but it seems as though no serious harm is done. I think probably the bikes have come off a little worse than the bodies. Of the accident, and indeed he has ruled that all 4 riders should come back to the start and be taxed at the restart in heat 13.
There's Danny Zanni, and he literally flew around Martin Hepworth there, picking up a tremendous amount of speed down on that bottom bend. And let's see if he can produce the same sort of stuff in the rerun. All 4 riders then are eligible to make the rerun of this very exciting heat number 13.
1 minute has been granted by the referee for the riders to get their bikes back into order. Well, that minute has now expired and the referee is calling for all the riders to come back to the line. They have 60 seconds to do so.
You're under the starter's orders.
And indeed, congratulations, indeed deserved congratulations to all 4 of those riders. The official result in a second.
You've seen Stuart Peak this weekend. I raced, North Metro race this year,
From Denizani, in second place was Mick Skinner from Leicester. In third was Dave Free from Whitley. And in fourth place was Martin Hepworth from Thurrock.
Well, Heat 14 brings out the other pool rider, Martin Gale, and he'll certainly be hoping that things don't go the way they did for his colleague Martin Hepworth in Heat 13. Martin Gale, meanwhile, lines up on grid 3, on the inside of him on grid 1. We've got Southampton's Ian Woodhouse. On grid number 2, the inconsistent, but you never know what's going to happen, Dave Hemsley from Leicester. He's had 2 last places and a win. Grid 3, then it's Martin Gale, and on the outside it's really a disappointing Andy Harris from Samwell. I really did expect a lot more from Andy, and he'll be looking to get some points now to make his score look respectable. It's a little late though to give him enough points to get in any sort of frame contention. Anyway, here we go then, heat number 14. Anything can happen.
Bear with us whilst the riders are under starters' orders.
Riders ready? You're under starters' orders.
Hotter and hotter. Again, in the quest for points up there on the first page. The riders coming to grief. Calling a halt to that one, and he again orders to restart. Well, due to machine damage sustained there by Ian Woodhouse, he's asked for a minute to put that to rights in the pits, and obviously granted by the referee.
Riders ready? You're under starters' orders.
Well, here comes Tim Snook out for heat number 15. Now, can he take advantage of the situation? A win here would give him overall top points tally so far this afternoon. Martin Gale, of course, has now dropped 2 points. A win here for Tim Snook would mean that he'd only drop 1. Let's have a look who his opposition is in this heat 15. Lining up on the inside grid position, and a very disappointing, I must say, Andre Cross from Norwich. Next door to him it's Tim Snook, a rider who's just dropped 1 point. Next door to Tim we've got Neil Mason from Leicester, and again a disappointing final really for Neil. He's picked up a few points there. On the outside, Norman Benson, he's scored a few points himself, and in fact how many has he got? 8 points, so any points second or first here would stand him in good stead for a placing at least. So it's eyes down then, heat number 15.
Riders ready? You're under starter's orders.
Well, Tim Snook in the colours of Ipswich takes the checker flag in heat 15 and clocks the fastest time to date with a time of 40.9 seconds. In second place was Whitley's Norman Benson. Third, right on the line, was Andre Cross, and in fourth place was Neil Mason. Dean, and so far looks like being the top score because he's dropped just 1 point from his first 4 races. He's got 1 race to go, and he looks to be in a commanding position at this moment in time. Heat 16 though is to come next with Martin Kent from Heckman White on the grid 1. Grid 2 goes to Mark Newey from Sandwell. On the grid 3, Mark Griffiths from Whitley. And occupying the grid 4 position will be Craig Marcourt from Sandwell.
Well, let's have a look how many points these riders have scored so far. On the inside, Martin Kent, he's just scored 2 points. And next door from Sandwell, it's Mark Newey. Mark has scored 8 points. Another Mark lines up on grid 3. It's Mark Griffiths from Whitley. He's scored 7 points. And on the outside, another Sandwell rider, Craig Harcourt. He's scored 7 points as well.
Run the starter's orders.
Probably
Riders ready? You're under the starter's orders. Riders ready? You're under the starter's orders.
Quiet as possible whilst the riders are at the tapes and then the starters' orders, and in particular in the area from behind the commentary box. If we could remain as quiet as possible just for those few seconds whilst the riders are under starters' orders, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Under the starter's orders.
Whilst on 11 points and still up there, but just below the leaders are Dave Frith, Norman Benson, Mark Newey and Mark Griffiths. Those are the leading scorers then in the 1989 British Championship final. We'll be underway with heat 17 just as soon as Martin Kent has got his breath back, doing 2 races in succession. Well, joining him on the grid 1 position will be Norman Benson from Whitley on the grid 2. Grid 3 will be occupied by Ian Woodhouse from Southampton, and on the outside, as I mentioned earlier, Danny Zani from Ipswich. Danny Zani amassing one of those high scores. He has 13 points, and so looking for something perhaps off that grid 4 position in heat 17.
Well, here we are then, heat 17. Just to reiterate, Martin Kent on the inside is second of 2 insides. Grid 2, it's Norman Benson who's scored 11 points so far this afternoon. Grid 3, it's Ian Woodhouse from Southampton. And on the outside, indeed as Nigel's pointed out, Danny Zani. This is the man who really needs some points here. He's scored 13. He really needs a win or a second here to be amongst the rostrum placings. So let's see what happens in heat 17. Will Danny Zani, the only rider really able to get amongst the rostrum placings, will he be able to pick off the bunch and show some of that aggressive riding which he has already done so this afternoon when he went right round Martin Hepworth? Well, Danny Zani really did need a few more points than a third place there, and probably quite rightly deserved so as well. But anyway, the race winner of heat number 17 was Norman Benson on his grid 2 position. Second place went to Ian Woodhouse from Southampton. Third place, Danny Zarni, and bringing up the rear, Martin Kent. Now, this is the race that everybody will be holding their breath for. Tim Snook, leading point scorer at the moment, lines up on grid 3. A difficult race for him because on grid 1 we've got Andy Harris, and he's not slow at the start. Next door to Andy, his clubmate, Craig Harcourt. Grid 3 then, it's Tim Snook. A win here would seal the championship. Second place, that might seal the championship. Might need a runoff though. And on the outside grid, it's Martin Hepworth. And of course, Martin Hepworth, despite that silly ride when he put his wheel in the wrong place at the wrong time and ended up last, could well have been in the same position as Tim Snook. And so Martin Hepworth needs all the points if he's going to remain one of the frame contenders. Let's see what happens then in this very exciting looking Heat 18.
Run to starters orders.
Well, Martin Hepworth proved to be the winner of heat number 18. He hit the front and held it there ahead of Tim Snook from Ipswich, who finished in second place. Third was Craig Harcourt from Sandwell, and in fourth place was Andy Harris, picking himself up after losing it there up on the top bend.
Heat 19 brings out Martin Gale, and he must win to secure a chance of another crack at that title, because he'll then finish level on points with Tim Snook. But he's got a lot to do, because on the inside of him it's that very fast starting and impressive looking Mark Griffiths this afternoon on the inside grid. On grid 3, another Whitley rider, the other side of Martin Gale, and that's Dave Frith. On the outside grid though, it's Andre Cross, and Andre's really had a disappointing afternoon, so all eyes will be focused on Martin Gale. Will he be able to overcome the quite formidable opposition of the two Whitley boys here? Heat number 19.
Snook and taking his total up to 18 points. Real high drama as we approach the final stages of the British Championship for 1989. A fine win from Martin Gale, just enough to give him equal score on 18 points, and that will force a run-off situation.
Well, Heat 20 then, the final race of this so far very exciting British final here at Thurrock. Lining up on the inside grid, and Mark Newey there with his bike over his shoulder, coming out. And he's got 3 Leicester riders to contend with, because next door to him on 2, it's Dave Hemsley. And Dave has just got 10 points so far from his 4 rides, but that included 2 wins. Next door to Dave Hemsley, a man actually who has got the possibility of getting, well, if he gets a win here, he'd be level on points with Martin Hepworth, and that means a run-off for 3rd place. So really, Mick Skinner, if he can get out there and win this race, he's got the bonus of a chance to get on the rostrum. What a feat that would be on his British final debut. On the outside of Mick Skinner then, we've got another Leicester rider, Neil Mason, who scored 8 points from his 4 rides. So, Heat 20 then. Will Mick Skinner do it, or will it be a win for Mark Newey? And that will bring those 2 riders both on 15 points.
Starters orders.
Well, no, what a shame, Mick Skinner not quite doing it. 2nd place, a win though for Mark Newey, bringing his tally to 15 points. 2nd place to Mick Skinner, also bringing his tally this afternoon to 15 points. 3rd place went to Dave Hemsley from Leicester, that brings his tally to 12. And then the final place in there was Neil Mason, bringing his tally to 9 points. But we have a decision to make, and that is the runoff for 1st and 2nd places. 3rd place having been established, that goes to Martin Hepworth. But it's Martin Gale and Tim Snook are the riders necessary for this runoff. And now the referee will be asking them to step forward to decide who will have the inside grid position. So all excitement mounts now. The 2 riders involved, Tim Snook from Ipswich and Martin Gale from Poole. Martin, of course, last year's winner. Tim Snook, a runner-up in 1986 in that deluge of a final at Stockport. Well, there's the referee with the 2 riders involved, and he'll be flicking that coin up into the air. There it goes. Let's have a look at the expressions on the riders' faces, isn't it? Yes, it looks like Tim Snook's won it, and he's got 2 fingers up in the air, indicating to us that he will take grid 2 in this runoff. That means Martin Gale will start from the outside.
They claim their prizes from the refreshment pavilion up there on the 1st and 2nd bend. And in the meantime, we see the riders already coming out in preparation for the runoff. Martin Gale and Tim Snook. 2, Martin Gale on the grid 4, the reigning champion. Once again though, I must remind you that whilst the riders are under starters orders, we want to keep as quiet as possible in order to give them a fair chance of getting away cleanly and quickly. We hope that this runoff will be an entertaining one for you.
Both finished with 18
I'm also reliably informed that since the championship has been going, it has only once been retained in following years by 1 man, and that was Kevin Greenhoff.
Time over.
Run the starter's orders.
Receiving the bumps from his club mates. We'll have the presentations for you in just a moment.
Right, thank you, Nigel. Normally, the Mirror representative says a few words at the end of the meeting. He's not here, so I'm just going to say a few myself. I'd like to thank Bill and all his staff at Thurrock for the tremendous way that they've put the finals on this weekend. It's been really enjoyable. Also, the Thurrock Deputy Mayor for being with us today, and I'm sure that he's really enjoyed it. Also, many of my friends and many of the sports friends from all over the world now come to the British final, and I hope that everybody's had a really enjoyable day. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Harry. And indeed, that leaves just one more thing to do, which is to put the riders on their bikes. Ladies and gentlemen, your final appreciation for the 1, 2, 3, the top riders in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Snook, Martin Gale, and Martin Hepworth.
Well, congratulations to those three riders, and in particular to Tim Snook. He's now the British champion, and Roger Nicholson is taking this photograph.
You ain't got a good side.
So there we are then, we end us all here at Thurrock. Three riders, all very capable riders, and certainly probably pre-meeting favourites, I would have said myself. But a very happy, obviously, Tim Snook in the middle there. He's the British champion. Congratulations again.